Welcome to the episode 1 of Annabelle's Conversations to Inspire. Today I'll be talking to Barbara Fitzsenry. Barbara worked in politics before she moved from the USA to Thailand. Enjoy! Hi Barbara, thank you for being on my interview. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself, please?
Welcome. It's so nice to see you.
You too.
You've really grown into a very nice, wonderful young woman. Very to you.
Thank you.
I miss you and your mom and dad, but I'm very happy to see you doing so well.
That's good. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself, please?
I certainly can. I was born in the United States, in the state of Minnesota. That's why I was kind of laughing when you were talking about how cold Canada was. Minnesota is just over the border, so I grew up about the first 8 years of my life just in that same kind of environment.
Do you prefer hot or do you prefer cold?
Well, I certainly would like somewhere in between, but
Yeah, sounds good.
my preference probably is for warmer weather. It's a lot easier on the bones.
So, what made you want to move from the USA to Thailand?
Well, there's a number of different reasons. You had asked me before a little bit about myself, but what I didn't tell you was that I grew up in a military family. So living in a military family, we moved quite a lot. If we could live in a place 6 months, we could live in a place maybe 2 years, but we constantly moved. And when I was about your age, we lived in Morocco, in Northern Africa, and I became extremely interested and excited about ancient history, which I finally minored in college in, and cultures outside of the typical American or English style culture. So in 2008, I'm sure you remember the USA had a very big recession. And it affected an awful lot of people, including myself, because I was laid off of work and because I was considered a senior citizen. That's usually classified as somebody over 60. I was not able to find a job, regardless of how much experience or education or anything I had. So my sons had been traveling to Thailand on and off for 10 years, and they just suggested that I come to see what it was like. And in 2011, I met my younger son in Bangkok, and we moved to Chiang Mai so he could go to the TEFL school. But I fell in love with it and just decided to stay. So I've been very fortunate. I've been here now almost 7 years. So I'm really enjoying it.
Good. So, what do you love about Thailand?
As I had mentioned before, I'm fascinated with different cultures. And Thailand I find to be a little bit exotic. Very open and comfortable and very welcoming. And one of the things that I especially love about Thai culture is their appreciation and respect for people who are a little bit older. Therefore, I am a very happy camper because I am well appreciated and respected by many of my Thai friends and the people I know here.
If you became the queen of the world, what would be the first thing that you would do?
If I was queen of the world, first thing, most definitely, I would declare war to be unconstitutional. No wars allowed. You have to figure out how to settle your differences. That would be the thing. Bring peace back. Peace, humanity, and kindness.
If you could meet anyone, past, present, future, or fictional, or whoever, who would it be and why?
Um, there are several different people for many reasons. One of them would be John F. Kennedy. I was a very young girl, but lived in Washington, D.C. when he was assassinated. And it was the very beginning of my interest in politics. And all these years later, I would love to learn how and what such a wonderful, wonderful man would be able to reconcile today's environment, today's culture. And the other main person would be to meet my mother again. She died when I was very, very young. And I don't know what she would have been like, in today's society. I don't know what it would have been like to have had a mother years and years later. So those are two people.
So who inspires you and why?
Um, there are a few people that I've met that probably you wouldn't know, that inspire me tremendously for different reasons. Again, part of it is cultural. I have a very, very, very long-term relationship with a family who is Puerto Rican. They come from Puerto Rico, but they are second generation to live in America. And I always find it fascinating to learn about people who adapt to our culture, to the American culture.
Oh,
So it's something that I have been inspired by and lived by, and they've become my second family or my adopted family. So those are people that I'm tremendously inspired by.
so if a movie inspired you, what movie would it be?
I don't know whether you've ever heard of it, but The Power of One. Have
Uh,
you ever heard that movie?
I'm not sure, actually.
The Power of One is about a young man who grows up in South Africa. And the entire premise of the movie is about the fact that one person on their own cannot change society by themselves. But just as the mightiest ocean begins or comes from the water that may be in a river, that may start from the drop of a single raindrop, the power of one, when you multiply it by tenfold, by hundredfold, by million, this becomes the strength of conviction and the strength of our ability to make change happen. And this is one of the movies that I'm very, very, very involved with and remember forever. I think you would probably enjoy watching it too.
What could you spend all day talking about?
Politics. Surprise. I'm very involved in politics, but that was partly because I worked in that field for many years. And I was very fortunate to, before I left my last job, I worked in Washington, D.C., and I worked with Congress, and I worked with one of the think tanks on K Street. And it was amazing to learn about how government works and to see it from the other side of the coin, not just we vote and something happens. I wanted to learn about what happens after we vote. How does this happen? How do we develop policies? And that's something that just is tremendously interesting to me.
If you could give a message to the world, what would it be?
Be kind to one another. Remember what it's like to be a human being that has to share a planet with millions of other people, but understand we are all of the same family, and that's the family of human beings.
So, if there was one person you'd like to see me interview, who would it be?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear part of the sentence.
If there was one person that you'd like to see me interview, who would it be?
Barack Obama.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. I would love to find out what he sees as the difference from the time that he first came into office and now for the past year and a half that he hasn't been. What he thinks of the current state of affairs, both in the world and with American politics.
What do you think is the one main difference between Thailand and America?
Well, I just happened to talk about this with some of my students the other day. And one of the things that we have determined to be the most different is the fact that in America we have the freedom to choose and to dissent. We can ask questions. We can protest. We can actively engage in any manner that's both pro and con, whatever is currently happening. And in Thailand, they are very culturally involved in remaining Thai. So it's very difficult to change their thinking in many respects, and they don't know that you are or should be allowed to ask questions or to even decide that maybe this isn't what you want. So it's very different here.
If there's one thing between Thailand and the USA, do you think that's the same?
I think the same is that no matter whether you're Thai or American or Canadian or British or wherever, we're all human beings with the same interests and feelings and emotions. We all care about our children, our families, and we lose sight of that due to the fact that politics and religion seems to take precedence most of the time. But we're all just human beings, and we all have very, very similar emotional contexts for being exactly that. We're part of a big family.
Uh-huh. So that's the end of my interview. Thank you so much for calling me and being on my interview.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Barbara, thank you for being on Annabelle's Conversations to Inspire. And you guys, don't forget to comment below who you'd like to see me interview next. Bye!